So presently, this is what the situation is looking like here, right, guys? We are looking at the inverse correlation between the Bitcoin asset and also USDT here, which is the tether dominance chart. So you can actually kind of tell now that you're getting the green here and you're getting the red on Bitcoin as people relieve themselves or actually recover or somehow get stopped out or maybe even take profit at those areas of resistance. Now, some of those areas of resistance could be given to us kind of like within the XRP asset, right? We experienced the resistance, right, where we said from last night's thread of analysis, we said in order for us to continue to the upside, we must continue above the areas of 297.70 to around 305.31, and so far, so good. Now, what's happening is that as you move above those areas of critical resistance, right, you're looking at them right about here, right? You're seeing these troughs everywhere here. So those mark off areas of inflection, right, guys? They're very important for us to kind of use and make sure that we can combat. So I want you to think of trading here as a series of doors that you have to open, right? In order for, well, you have to go through the space of one, and then you open a door, and then you close the door, and then you go towards the room, beyond the room, and go into another room. But you have doors to open and close. So that's very true in price action, right, guys? So as you're kind of consolidating here within a range, you are looking to maybe open the next door, right? So you open the door at this point here, right? So you actually go towards. You open the door, right, and then you close the door. But in closing the door, think of it as validation, right? And then you continue on, and then you find yourself at the next door over here. So whatever that is, right? You just then close that door and you validate it, and then you continue on, and you just continue doing that same thing door to door everywhere you go. And every single area that you're observing here would be some point of present inflection or whatever, right? And that's how you kind of mitigate or migrate here in trading in any kind, really, forex, crypto, equities, anything like that, right? So that's currently what's happening right now. So as we break up, I have to remind you of this. And I'm going to give it to you here in a larger time frame, of course. But as you kind of break out from these critical zones, you tend to come back to validate them, right? So here we have this chop around in here, right? And then you have this one critical area that's very confluent to a couple other critical areas too, right? So that's currently your inflection area, right? So this, all these areas here, that's all inflection for you. So that's why you experience this massive upside. Then you can actually come back down and close that door, right? So you open the door to the new area here, you then come back, close the door, right? And then you continue towards that new area until you get to the next point to where you need to open the door and close it. It's probably the simplest way that I can explain it to you. And that actually leads me to some further analysis here, guys. So that's exactly what's happening within the USDT asset against Bitcoin. So we need to kind of go over these things in order for us to make the next move. So before we find out what's going to happen here for the next, before we can potentially put a forecast on the pricing here of the XRP asset and maybe XLM, let's go ahead and make sure that we can get a like on this, right? Subscribe to the channel. Do everything necessary to get this thing to live long, thrive, and survive. My name is Arca, coming at you here on, this is Monday night, actually, 11:08 p.m. Pacific time on August 4th. And we are looking at here at the current price action of BTC at 114,449 present, and XRP is currently sitting at $3.0491. And it's looking pretty good, right? So this is the chart. This is the chart. Yeah, devil horns in the chat. All right, so this is the chart that I wanted to kind of show you based on what the broadening wedge is kind of looking like, right? So we're getting extremely close to the inflection points that we wanted, right? We actually reached close to a 311 today. Shout out to the band, right? So 311 here is 315.95. 311 is the current price that we reached. 310.90s or something like that. Pretty high, right? So all good. We're still leading towards the higher probability move. Now I will introduce to you something though, because now I think XLM is kind of showing a little bit of a pattern that may introduce a different outlook. Well, I mean, actually a pretty good outlook, and that would be this right here, right? So the targets to the downside kind of worked out pretty good. Although we went into the critical levels of the focus zones, it still bounced from our areas of interest. So what this is currently looking like, it's a better part of an inverse head and shoulders here too, right? So take a look at this formation here. So which shows that, yeah, we could probably face a little bit of downside here to start validating some breaks of support, breaks of resistance, and validate them as support. So I mean, it's all good, right? Things like this happen all the time. Should there be a drop on the XLM asset? Well, yeah, I think that we could probably face a corrective move down here to around 40. Let's see. Yeah, that could be 401,047, right? So just around the 40 cent zone, right? 41,437. So if that is the case, that looks like a pretty good area to consider. And should there be a liquidity grab, of course, guys, we can always take a look at these lower liquidity zones like this one here, 40,0743, and even into these 39s, right? So but it does look incredibly bullish. It just feels like it's going to build the criteria of this inverse head and shoulder. So if that's the case, guys, that is extremely bullish here, and you have complete harmony connecting all the dots here, right? So this is you drawing your neckline here for your inverse head and shoulders. Take the consideration of that neckline to the lowest part of the head and apply this to what would be the center of your your shoulder here, maybe somewhere here, I don't know. So that could take you to the targets of around 48.7816, right? So it's confluent to some of the targets that we were talking about, somewhere around the 47.3 even still, and it is very much confluent to some top sides in here as well. So yeah, if I were to say anything here, the hard target to the 48.7816, although possible, I would say that it would kind of land right about there at the 47.3 at the tops. So yeah, guys, so a couple announcements here. Please make sure to sign up for the Arc Masters course, guys, for the beginners trading and charting program, the mentorship that's coming up here in about 3 days on Thursday, and we're going to go over this for learning how to trade here for 9 weeks. And then there's a following segment that's more advanced, and then followed another one, and then following another one, right? So just go ahead and give it a shot. $100 for a 9-week mentorship with me just introduces you to the program and starts to show you massive information on how this is actually done, right, guys? So yeah, that's a pretty good thing. Hit the link in the description below, okay, guys? So if we are facing that upside here on XLM, then I think we should be able to at least see it in volatility against momentum, right, guys? So that would be, hold on, let me just adjust this chart. Here we go. Perfect. So yeah, we should be able to see it in your upper time frames, right? So in fact, yeah, we do. We absolutely see a continuation to the upside on your daily time frame here, right? Massive upside pivot on that, and it looks like we're starting to kind of shift here for expansion, which is also very good. By daily time frame, it does show like it could be turning around here soon after getting this massive bullish engulfing here, guys, at the bottom of a trend with a little bit of a tweezer bottom on that. All good. So yeah, guys, I think that this probably pulls back to the zones that we were talking about, right? It still looks relevant. This, in this perspective here, is 401,600, and right down here would be that, yeah, that 39.30 that we were talking about. I think it was 39.15 in the other chart. But yeah, it's looking like we could just face a little bit of a temporary pullback and continue our merry way up. And it's looking fairly I mean, it's looking fairly positive, guys. Having closures like these here on a new 4-day candle, massive reversal signal here. Yeah, because usually that you want to get a bit of your 50% prior bar pullback on that new bar, right? And then actually bounce to the upside. This looks like one huge bull flag, guys. And I got to say that if this bull flag does materialize, please take this with a grain of salt here, because this is way into the future here, guys. Okay, so I'm saying, like, if this were to play out, this would be like a month out or something. So this is leading towards the target of around 70 cents, just above, which is confluent, to some 63-cent targets that we already kind of had and we are looking at, right, guys? So it's looking okay. So yeah, just wait for that little bit of a pullback here and everything should be good. That is it for XLM. And I got a little bit of something here to show you on this side of things, guys. So Yeah, this is your head and shoulders, right, on the USDT, the tether dominance. And remember what tether dominance is, right, guys? This is where it's your stable coin. This is where you exchange your actual dollar for the dollar value of the USDT, since it is dollar pegged, and that allows you to purchase with the same effect that a dollar does any of the crypto assets. It's particularly used for futures trading, for margin trading. So that's liquidity. So we use this here to determine potential moves, right? And this is a macro move here, of which you can see is absolutely bearish, right? So this is this means that as people buy crypto assets, the tether pegged dollar asset here is going to drop, because people are exiting their USDT to purchase the crypto asset. So that means lesser USDT in supply, and in exchange for purchasing your risk on, right, like XRP, like HBAR, or whatever that is. So as that happens, this drops more and more and more and more. So when people find a resistance or something, or find something that's scary, they actually take out their Bitcoin, they sell all their XRP, they sell or whatever, and then USDT thus increases, right, while the underlying stock drops. So that is the inverse correlation here between USDT, USDC, and Bitcoin, right? Any stable coin like that. So what this is introducing, guys, is this for the immediate short term. This is how you can tell that we're about to face a little bit of a pullback here to validate those resistances. What you're looking at here are the workings of a falling wedge, right? So this is your falling wedge formation here, and it's a very bullish one, right? So what this does is that it introduces to you the potentials of an upside coming in. So that means that risk off on the crypto side for risk on the for reaccumulating here of your USDT. So people would essentially take their profits out and thus increase the supply of USDT even bigger than what it was before. But it's okay, because as soon as you reach one of those resistances or the support bottoms on like XRP or Bitcoin, then you would start to exit USDT. You start buying the XRP asset and the BTC. So you get out of the USDT here, and then USDT again starts falling, and then you start getting the upside on the underlying assets. So far, this is presently what could be happening. If we're looking at a breakout roughly around 65 to 75% to the apex of the triangle, which is typically where it breaks, you're looking at a target of about 4.84%, and middle of the triangle, which could arguably be there. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and switch it just a little bit here. I'm going to suggest that it's probably here, and just kind of give it a little bit of an adjustment. This is the center of the triangle, which would be your second most probable target to that upside. That would give you a target of around 5.26%. And of course, your larger area of the triangle, usually the lesser probability one, we still have to count though. This would give you a valuation of USDT percentage based on 5.97%, almost 6%, which is equivalent to the resistance that we faced before. So this is how you can tell, right, guys? This is a way. We're looking at a bullish formation here, very likely breakout to the upside, and we're looking at things like XRP, where we're breaking out from critical zones like the one that we just broke out of, right? Let's go ahead and look at this from a smaller time frame and kind of explain it just real quick here. Just like this here, right? We just broke out, right? We broke into these inflection zones, right? Now that we broke out of this, we come back and we start validating the supports before we continue. And take a look at this here. We have a head and shoulders formation, right? So if we have a head and shoulders formation on the hourly time frame of XRP here, well, let's go ahead and just take that consideration for targets to the downside. In fact, I do think it could be something like this, right about, it could be like that too, right? So let's just take a look at what could be happening here. Okay, so we take that target, put it at the center of our shoulder here, right, which could be just about there, or maybe I would say here. It's telling you about 294 or 295, and should we have any supports down there, well, that would be ideal for us to kind of look for, which we kind of do, and it is located at 296. So 296 is there for us to evaluate, and we have one more down here at 294.87. So these are going to be your liquidity grabs to the downside. Of course, we can always make lower, right? But this is presently what's happening. But if it does do that, guys, if it does do this, meaning that we're going to let's take a sample of this, right? Let's take a sample of what the price action is kind of looking like, just like this here, right? So let's just say that we did create this downside all the way to, you know, this point here, right? Where we get the head and shoulders price drops in here. Well, if that is in fact the case, well, I kind of see an inverse head and shoulders there now doing. So that would now be an extensive upside here, and that would, you know, that would potentially introduce the probabilities of a larger target, a larger one than we even had in mind. So this would be suggesting, let's see, the probabilities of $3.5268. Okay, well, I like it. We're going to go ahead and name it that on the thumbnail here, and people are going to be like, so everybody's going to get all crazy and wild, right? So all good in the hood, team. All right, so this is presently what I'm seeing here, guys. I do think that we have a short-term downside here. Just make sure that we don't have some crazy-ass news that's going to make the entire asset fall apart and all of cryptocurrency fall apart just because one person said something just that's not really lasting for too long, you know? And don't fall for the fear, guys. All right, so everything is looking good. Don't over-lever your position. Please do as well as you always do. Okay, guys. The sensitivity here between alpha light, it's already giving us a buy side signal here, right around the 299 area, right? So that's after recovering from this downside, guys. So there's only one little buy and sell signal here that it kind of saw as a fake out and kind of recovered here. Said, you know what? Never mind. Let's go ahead and reevaluate this, right? And now it's giving you one more buy signal, but mind you, the last buy signal that it gave you was all the way down here for the official one. It was trying to get it right, and it was like, there we go, this is the one, let's go. So from this point here, you know, 225 all the way to the sell of around 350, you know, it's giving you one here, right? So it's honoring it, but Omega Light is in disagreement of that, right, guys? In fact, this Omega Light is introducing to you the probabilities of a target to the downside already based on its last pivot. This pivot here curves right in here, and what target is that? 296.12, which is absolutely the bottom side that we just said right here, 296.08. So make sure, guys, make sure that you can pick yourselves up the Omega Light or the Alpha Light in the description below. These are incredible algorithms here that I've developed, and I try to input myself into them as much as I can so that we could benefit from them. Okay, guys, so should you have any questions on how to set them up, please look in the description below. The video tutorials are there with tips and trick videos as well. There's around 4 for Alpha Light and Omega Light, and these are the input settings here that I'm using, right, guys? Make sure to change them up. I like to consider this too, because you can choose the time frame on Omega Light to tell you if we're bearish or bullish, right? So here in the immediate short term, it's telling you bullish, although it's still suggesting bearish with a red cloud. So that can tell you that immediate short-term resistances can be faced, but should we look at this maybe in like a 4-hour time frame, well, that would then introduce the bearish nature, right? So it's overall bearish, immediate short-term bullish, and you can test these things out as you go. So make sure to pick it up, guys, in the description below. Send your proof of purchase and your TradingView username to arcabulls@gmail.com. Okay, guys? Well, thank you so much for watching, and we shall talk very, very, Jerry, Scary Larry soon. All right, team. Peace out. Please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. Ever. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well, a very, very good rest of your night and or day, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios, team. Oh yeah.